We're taking a look today at a smartwatch that I would consider to be my favorite of them all at this point. This is the Qualcomm Toq, and let's talk about what I like so much about it. So when I say that this is my favorite smartwatch of the moment, I'm not actually lying. It is the smartwatch I keep going back to time and time again. I've had it for a couple of months, and I've got all these other ones like the Pebble and the Galaxy Gear and the Smartwatch 2 from Sony all on my desk, yet I keep going back to this one. And there's a number of reasons for that. I like the build quality. I actually like the design, even though it is quite massive. And, you know, it discolors a little bit. This white version, the black version probably won't. But overall, the design I like, fits on my wrist well, and actually I'll show you. So it fits on my wrist really well, but it's also huge. So if you can get over the sheer size of the Qualcomm Toq, I think you'll be okay. But you can see this is what it looks like, right? So it's big, not gonna lie. It's a big smartwatch, but it really does all of the stuff I want it to. So again, it might be massive, but it does all sorts of cool things with notifications, with its mirror display. Again, the design here, you've got metal, rubber, plastic, but they all feel premium. It feels like a premium smartwatch compared to some of the others. Pebble, most notably, not the most premium smartwatch on the planet. But the star here really is the display. So we're looking at a 1.55-inch mirror display, which is Qualcomm's display technology. It has 222 pixels per inch. So the beauty here is when you go out in the sunlight or you're in a bright room or something like that, sunlight being the most important, the watch actually gets brighter. So it pulls in light from around it and then displays essentially clearer, crisper, brighter, shows more color, all of that stuff. You do have a backlight which you can turn on just by tapping up here at the wrist, but you're only going to need that in dark situations. You know, if it's dark out, you're definitely going to need that backlight, but for the most part, you can see this thing and it works wonderfully. So if we flip between on this black bar, which is touch enabled, you can sort of jump between clock, faces. There's a whole bunch of these and you can turn some of them off on. There's actually, I think, about 19 in total, which I'll show you once we get into the app. But you can see full color and it works really, really well. We're talking about navigating. So if we touch the wristband, and yes, if you missed that, you actually touch the wristband to enable sort of the whole app interface here. And you can scroll between here and you can see there's, music, weather, there's messages, there's stocks, there's all sorts of apps in here. They are limited right now, but there will probably be more. You can see here I've got favorite cities and towns with weather on them. There's my calendar, and here's just sort of a status menu. And so you swipe left to right to get to those. You scroll up and down to get through all of your apps. The navigation part of it can be a little confusing at times, depending on if you're swiping left or right or up or down. So that's a little bit finicky. But again, you're looking at a full touch screen here. Things like activity tracking you could enable if you want to. It's actually pretty fully featured. Now, there's no camera, but I don't necessarily need a camera. So I've got all the apps I need, especially since I just need to see, things like weather and notifications and calendars and control music and things like that. Those are some of the big things, that I'm looking to do here. There again is the touch censored wristband there, which is it does take some getting used to and definitely doesn't work all the time. What I do love about it though is that the screen stays on all the time. So when it's on your wrist, it's a watch. It's a watch first. It's not a piece of technology first. So you don't have to do a wrist movement to get it to come on. You don't have to do anything special. It's just on all the time. And again, if you're in the sunlight or something like that, the Qualcomm Toq looks great because it pulls in more light and that mirror display essentially shines through then. So, overall build quality, all of that stuff I really love. If you look at the wrist strap though, right here, I believe this is the battery housing and it is a little thick. So let me just throw this on again real quick and show you what it looks like on. So if you flip your wrist over, you do kind of have this big lump down here, which is the battery. Now the battery lasts for 4 to 5 days. It's insanely good how long this thing lasts. But if you're typing or something, your wrist on a keyboard, that can get in the way. And I do find myself sort of pulling it off and on throughout a work day. And there's some more of that discoloring on the white version again. So again, maybe go black. But overall, I really don't have that many complaints. Let's take a look at the app though, because for a smartwatch companion app, the Qualcomm Toq has one of the best. If you think about Samsung's Gear app or Pebble's previous app before 2.0, this thing just crushes them. So in here, It's got a simple UI. It shows you're connected, and then you sort of jump into the preferences. You've got clock styles, icon styles, favorite apps, stocks, weather and time, calendars, activity tracker, which I keep turning off, advanced settings. There's all sorts of stuff you can tweak in here, and the app just works really well. So if we jump into clock styles, you can see with the little stars, I've got it highlighted which ones I want to show. So you can turn clock styles off and on and jump between those like I showed you earlier. And there's plenty of cool ones. I think Qualcomm did a really nice job with the design here. Most of them I like. There are some goofy ones, but for the most part, I really do like all of the clock faces. And they could introduce more. Again, there's about 19 of them. Icons, in terms of just the UI, you can change the way this looks, and there's 6 options in there. Notifications, probably the most important part. And this is where Qualcomm shines, I think, with the Toq. They let you decide what apps you want to send notifications to the Toq. And again, it works with all Android devices, if I didn't mention that already. We're talking Jelly Bean and above, so 4.0.3 and above. It's not limited like Samsung did with the Gear to Galaxy devices. And you can see I can scroll through all my apps and decide if I want them sending notifications here. I've limited it to just a select few because I don't want that many notifications, but really, really powerful there. And there's things like setting your default music player, setting up quick replies so that if somebody texts or calls you, you can send them a quick message back. And it does take calls. Well, it doesn't take calls. You can answer or ignore them, which answers or ignores them on your phone. You can't talk through it like the Gear. You can see it does stocks, and you can customize that. Customize calendars, turn that activity tracking on, but I still feel like that sort of kills battery a little bit. And then you can even go into more applets, which would be, I believe, more apps that would come down the road from developers and things like that. I don't think there are any available. At least I don't know of any. So if there are, be sure to tell me. In advanced settings, you can set things like light duration, clock timeout, and if it vibrates, if you get notifications and all that stuff. So in terms of being an app or a companion app for a smartwatch, it's a really good app. It's way better than Samsung's Gear app or the original Pebble app. Pebble app's a little bit better now as version 2.0. But yeah, Qualcomm Toq app, really, really, really nice. So, let's pick up the app or the watch again and talk. If we show you an actual notification, so I don't think we've showed you one yet, and bear with me for a moment here. I'm going to try to send an email, and we'll wait for it, and wait for it. It's not happening. Let's try again. We'll send a Hangouts message this time, and hopefully this one shows up. I know this is a riveting video. There we go. So Gmail shows up, and you essentially get the subject, who it's from, and a little bit of the body, and there's a Hangouts message, and it shows you who that's from with email addresses and all that stuff. So you can swipe back and forth between these and sort of dismiss them as you read them. Again, I sort of talked about this, but navigating this is a little bit difficult. I've had it for a couple months now, and sometimes you don't know if you have to swipe right or left, if you've dismissed something, if you can view it again later. All of that stuff sort of is sort of confusing, I'm not going to lie. So that's just a basic UI. Let's talk about comparison here. So here's Samsung's Galaxy Gear. Now you can see the size difference here. The Galaxy Gear not small by any means, and the Qualcomm Toq just dwarfs it. Now it's not quite as thick, but again, the battery is housed down there in the watch strap, so it's definitely going to be a little thinner, which I actually appreciate. I'd rather have it thinner up top than all over like that. So here is the Pebble, the original Pebble. No juice, haven't charged her in a while. Definitely wider and bigger, but again, way more premium. The wrist strap that comes with the Pebble is not good. Here is the Sony smartwatch 2. About the same size. Qualcomm Toq a little bit bigger. Way better looking. The Sony smartwatch 2, by the way, is a decent smartwatch. Pretty good, actually, and I'll do a quick review of that shortly. It's just so boxy and ugly. It's just a square. It has good functionality. It's just not great in terms of looks. Now here's a Pebble Steel. So this is the same price now, $250, as the Qualcomm Toq. It's made of all metal, and I'm sorry, it just feels cheap when compared to devices like this. So that's kind of what we're looking at in terms of size. But if you're talking sort of overall overview impressions, again, I've said it enough. This is my favorite smartwatch right now. Now, are other smartwatches going to probably beat this out? Probably. This is sort of Qualcomm's attempt at showing off mirror saw display. But for right now, for $250, black or white, notifications, mirror saw display, it really is the best smartwatch of the moment, at least in my opinion. And we'll go through the others and share opinions with those as well. But this is the Toq. We are Droid Life. Check us out for more full review at the site. Peace.